Okay, so welcome everyone, and let's dive right in so we make the best use of our time. So I'm going to share my PPT with you and take you through a little bit of context first and then the Robinson curriculum. Where is the... And I have with me my tech expert, Lucas Pereira, helping me. Okay, so this is part 2. A quick recap of part 1. We looked at different perspectives for looking at the why of homeschooling. What does the church teach us about Catholic parenting, which is why we are doing Catholic homeschooling. So you'll understand what is the Catholic part of it. Then what is Catholic homeschooling and what it is not. The risks and rewards of Catholic homeschooling. The circumstances in which a Catholic family should not homeschool. So it's not just like a blanket thing for everybody. Then the decisions we need to make in the process of discerning whether God wants our family to homeschool, how to get started, and one example. Okay, so now let's start with a small analogy just to help us go deep. So if you are in pain, you will go to see a doctor. You will go to see a doctor, and the doctor will ask you lots of questions about what exactly is your pain. Is it very sharp? Is it shooting? Is it dull? Which side of your stomach it's paining? Many questions he'll ask you, and you'll have to tell him honestly. If you want him to help you, you'll have to tell him properly what is happening, right? And then the doctor will tell you something. He also has something to say about the matter, and he might prescribe some additional tests to be done. You might have to go to a pathology lab, get the test reports, go back to the doctor, and then he might suggest something as drastic as surgery if that is what you need. He will do the surgery, you will recuperate, but in the process of recuperation also there will need to be some kind of discomfort. There will be some discomfort, some kind of, you will not be completely fine immediately after the surgery, right? That process of healing itself is challenging, it is difficult. And the doctor is with you all the way. He won't just abandon you after the surgery. He has to check up on you and he has to make sure that you're absolutely fine. Okay, so in the same way, maybe all of us on this call have been at some point, or our children are in some pain about our child's schooling experience, right? And so we want to go to the biggest doctor, Jesus, who knows us very well and knows our children very well. We want to allow Jesus to ask us a lot of questions about what is causing this pain, and only if we get the correct answers will he be able to help us. Giselle, can you just please mute anyone who's unknowingly unmuted? Okay, so Jesus may tell us some changes that need to be made. Maybe we need to move from schooling to homeschooling. Maybe that's not the change we need. Maybe we need to change our job, or we need to make more time for our relationships. There are different things that he might suggest to us. Okay, and he might prescribe some things for us to do while we are waiting, right? While we are thinking about this, he might tell us to think about some things more, and therefore we want to look at the content of the first video well, because I've covered in that well what we should be discussing with the Lord before making such a decision. So why am I telling you all this? If both parents watch the video and discuss freely the content and take it back to the Lord, only then you will know what is the solution that Jesus wants to give you. Is it something drastic as taking your child out of school and starting homeschooling, or is it something simpler that your family needs right now? What does your family need at this point? That is a question. So only if Jesus says to do homeschooling, then you please do homeschooling. Otherwise, don't do it. Okay, because as Catholics, we want to surrender our lives to Jesus and do only what he says is best for us. So if that happens, both of you need to figure out how to learn more, meet homeschooling families, understand curriculum options, and then allow Jesus to do the actual work of getting the job done, which is not paying the next year's fees, getting the leaving certificate, investing time and money in understanding the curriculums and getting those curriculums. So the whole family, this is what I want to, why I'm sharing this. Even if you're in pain about being in school, it doesn't mean that if you do homeschooling, suddenly everything will be fine. Okay? The whole family will go through a process of healing, of recovery, of rehabilitation, of adjustment, not just to the academic part of your child's life, but your child's entire life, and therefore to your entire life. Because everything about your child's academics will influence everything in everybody's life in your household. So don't be patient in that time. Don't be in a hurry that, oh, now it's happened, surgery has happened, so now I have to be fine. Okay, it's going to take a time of adjustment. and Jesus will be at our side through it all. Another short, so basically what I'm trying to say from this is nobody goes directly, right, to the surgery point without the doctor or without his guidance and his help. Don't decide to homeschool unless you are sure Jesus is telling you to do. Nobody books the OT themselves and says, doctor, you please come here. So you don't decide for yourself and then tell Jesus, now you have to agree with my plans. Okay, that's not the way it works. And the doctor has to decide what is best and tell you what to do, and we have to obey the doctor. We trust the doctor. So just like the doctor will tell you in advance, if surgery is one of the options, even before the test, he might tell you in advance that surgery may be one of the options, so that you can plan your leave and your Mediclaim and your caregivers. In the same way, we are telling you the curriculum part in advance, so you know that this is one of the possibilities. Robinson is one of the possibilities that God might be laying on your heart for your family. It is not that we are trying to sell Robinson or tell you that you have to do this. Okay, you have to discern with Jesus what is best for your family. So everything new has a learning curve. You might be going faster or slower than somebody else. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. You do what is best for your family. Do not rush in excitement to get the leaving certificate and buy the curriculum. Be sure that this is what God is asking you to do. This is a question many people ask, so I'm just clarifying. In theory, if you start to homeschool, you take a leaving certificate. In theory, the Indian government says that every child has a right to education and no school can deny your child admission or readmission. But in practice, that depends largely on the demand and supply of schools and children in your area. Okay, so if they make up a reason to say no and every school makes up a reason to say no, then that might not be possible at that time. So you also have to look out, if you want to keep this as a temporary option to try out, you also have to do that research in your local area to find out this specific answer to this question. Okay, we have a lot of things going on in our life. All of us are juggling many things, and now it seems like all those things are supposed to fit together, but they are just in disarray. So we are like a juggler, especially mamas are always juggling, and the honest truth is that nobody likes to be juggled. Our children do not like to be juggled. Our spouses do not like to be juggled, but we feel we are juggling all the time, right? So many things to manage. Our marriage, our parenting, our housework, our relationship with God. Where do we find the time to pray while we're raising children? All our children, our health, the work that we need to do to earn money, right? Our friends, ministry, a relationship with parish things, and finally money that we need to save for the future. It seems like there's so much going on, and if we in this process add homeschooling also, will it just be one more ball to juggle? Will it just be one more headache for our family and for us to manage? So we need to do homeschooling in the right context, which is why I'm sharing this before I share the curriculum, so you don't get excited and think, oh, I'll just do this and everything will be magically okay. The biggest and most important context for anything we do is our relationship with God. In that context, if we place our health, our physical health, our mental health, our spiritual health, then our marriage, because only if I am well, I can give to my spouse the love that God wants me to give him. Then our parenting in the context of marriage, then our children, each child unique and has unique things, then our housework, our outside work, and homeschooling in this context. If homeschooling fits into this context, if everything else is sound and safe, then homeschooling will fit in the context. Otherwise, it'll just be one more ball you are trying to juggle. Okay, then ministry work, parish relationships, all that will have to take a secondary place to homeschooling. Okay, so there is a context, there is a bigger space within which smaller things need to be contained and within which they sit well. So homeschooling sits well within the context of a stable home, a stable relationship with Christ, a stable marriage, a stable parenting atmosphere, a relationship with your child. If you do not at this point in time have a commitment or a time or a connection with your child, then homeschooling is not automatically going to fix that. That's something you will have to work on apart from the academic part of homeschooling. Okay, when everything is packed neatly and in order, what you will see is a shining, salty witness of Jesus Christ. Otherwise, people will see all mess. Now, why am I emphasizing this before we get to the curriculum? If your life is in disarray and you're not able to get it in order, and you buy the Robinson curriculum and you start using it, you will get frustrated very soon, because it's not going to work unless there is some order at home. Okay, it's not, the home environment is critical to the effectiveness of the Robinson curriculum. So if you do this in a misprioritized life, homeschooling will look like the culprit, and you will get frustrated and you will give up, and then your child will be dangling in the middle, either between school or homeschool. Okay, so if you do something too fast or don't do it thoroughly, you will tend to get frustrated faster and give up on it. But if you take the time to set the groundwork well, even with the frustrations come, if you know the groundwork is set well, you will be able to overcome those problems and challenges. So what are we getting at when it comes to curriculum? Firstly, this is very important to understand. Please, it's like a full change of mindset, because we are also used to just one system. You will now be engaging, if your family is going to homeschool, in two systems. One is learning for life, and the other is learning for exams. They are two separate things. In school, we are only focusing on learning for exams. Everything in school is geared towards getting that child to do well in the 10th standard exam. Whereas in homeschooling, what we are primarily concerned with is learning for life. We want the skills, the knowledge, whatever they're gaining, the wisdom, to carry them through life. And learning for exams is one small part of that, which we do want them to do, but that's a small part of learning for life. So the emphasis is on learning for life, and only if your child is already 13 years old, you need to really figure out the exam part of it. Until then, don't think about the exam, only just focus on the learning for life. So there are many different types of curricula. There are board exam type of curricula like NIOS, IGCSE. These are the two homeschoolers in India. Either NIOS, which is a national certificate from the Indian government, which is valid all across India in any college and university and anywhere in the world, because your Indian government is certifying that you are 10th standard pass. And IGCSE, which is a separate Cambridge curriculum, which is not accessible and not admissible anywhere in the world. You have to find out in advance if the university you want to send your child to will accept an IGCSE private candidate, because the child will not be studying in the school, they will be appearing for IGCSE as a private candidate. Okay, so this matters only if your child is 13 and above. If your child is not there anywhere, don't worry about it right now. Then you have secular curriculums like your own state board. In Maharashtra, we have SSC or NCERT. Then you have Christian curriculums like Robinson. You have lots of Catholic curriculums. On Facebook, there is a Catholic homeschool conference page. So I've attended 2 of their online conferences during the pandemic, which were free. This year they're charging for it, but it's in the early weeks of June, which is summer for them. And it's very, very useful. I was tremendously blessed by both those conferences. It really just gave me such encouragement and concrete ways to help me and my family. So on that group, on the FB group, I asked if there's a comparative list of all the Catholic curricula. And so many people shared so many different lists of Catholic curriculum. Like, the list is really exhaustive. So if you want to know the list, I suggest go to Facebook and log into the Catholic Homeschool Conference page and go down. If you can see my name, I've asked a question and all the answers are there already. It's too comprehensive for me to figure out and share in another way. Okay, there are also mix and match curriculums, means I'll do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Each of those curriculums are designed to be mix and match. Or there are holistic curriculums which say if you do this, don't do anything else, because it's comprehensive in itself. Okay, so now we are looking at, for our purpose of this call, we are looking at learning for life, and we are looking specifically at number C, which is a Christian curriculum, Robinson. Now, how to decide which curriculum to use? So this is how our family decided. We identified our family's needs at that point. Okay, what did my family need? You have to do a proper diagnosis before you prescribe the medication. Every medication is not going to work for everybody. So you have to understand first what is wrong, right? So what is my family's needs, and find a curriculum that matches your family's needs and particular situation that your family is going through. Then pick the one for which you will get the most on the ground support. So if there are FB groups, if there are internet support groups, or if there are people who you can talk to face and find out, ask questions, that will help your family a lot more than if you are the first one to try that in your circle or in your circle of access. Then obviously it will be more difficult. Okay, and the other option is to go through all the options, take your time and choose which one is best for your family. So for our family, we decided based on A and B because we found C was too time consuming. We bought the Robinson curriculum a lot before we started it. So we got the kids out in 2018. We, for 2 years, we enrolled them in an IGCSE school close to our house, which was supporting homeschoolers. So they had a system where for half the fees, they would give you the IGCSE curriculum, and they would give you an opportunity to come to school for exams and extracurricular. So at that point, though I was willing to go full-fledged into homeschooling, my husband was a little more cautious, and he said he wanted to try this option. Then when the pandemic, we did that for 2 years, and it worked well, except that I found it was not too challenging for my children. I found that they finished their work very easily, and they were not intellectually challenged by it. And the extracurricular that they had was not really worth that much money that we were paying. We could pay for it cheaper outside. So the exams were really the only thing that we were paying for. But then when the pandemic started, that half option was not there only because everything was online. So obviously then we withdrew and we started Robinson. We had already bought Robinson. We had already started using Robinson. And then we went full-fledged into Robinson since then. So we've done Robinson properly since 2020. So yeah, this is our third year, full-fledged Robinson. Okay. So we're not promoters of RC. We're not beneficiaries of any discounts. I'm not referring RC to you because I'm getting anything out of it. Okay, we're just end users, and I want to state the cost upfront so it doesn't look like a sales pitch. This is what it is, and then you understand what it is, so you don't get upset or excited either way. Okay. The cost for RC curriculum grades 1 to 12 for online access for 2 years and a free download in that 2 years, means then you can download it for life, is $195, which is only 16,000 rupees. Okay, for all 12 years for RC, which is a one-time cost for your family, irrespective of whether you have one child or 5 children. The Saxon math, so RC has its own math called Ray arithmetic, but RC itself has prescribed Saxon math because that's far better than Ray's. We tried Ray's for a while and even we realized Saxon is much better, so let's just go for that. Saxon math has 2 different sets. One is for kindergarten to 3rd grade and one is for older kids. All together that comes to around 2 lakhs. So all together this whole package for 1st standard to 12th standard of a learning for life curriculum for your whole family, irrespective of how many children you have, comes to around 2,07,000. Okay, if you look at that in terms of per year, even if you have one child, per year it comes to 17,000 rupees per year and 1,400 rupees per month. Okay, so it is really affordable for middle class families, and I want to make this clear from the beginning so you understand the rest of it in this context. Okay, now what exactly is Robinson? Who is this Robinson people? So it's developed by this Dr. Arthur, and his wife also was a research scientist, though it's not clear if she had a PhD, so I'm putting question mark for Dr. Laurel Robinson. They were both research scientists. They raised 6 children on a farm. They moved out of the city into a country area to set up their own research lab because they found that the intellectual community was being compromised in the main city. And besides birthing, nursing and raising their children, Laurel herself had put together a full 12th grade homeschooling curriculum. And like Dr. Robinson puts it, there was only one flaw in the curriculum, that they both assumed that she would be alive to teach that curriculum. So this has come out of a real tragedy for the family because she died of a sudden illness within 24 hours of being sick. Okay, she was a mother of 6 children, a homeschooling mother of 6 children, running the farm, raising the farm, and running the farm and raising her children. And they were both working in the science lab, so she had her hands full. She just had a sudden illness and she died in 24 hours. And leaving Arthur to raise those 6 children. They were aged 12 years to 17 months at that time. Okay, now just imagine if you're living on a farm, you cannot even take one day to sleep in and grieve, because you have to get up in the morning and feed the chicks and the animals and everything else, because if you don't, they will also die. Okay, and in this situation, really, Arthur attributes completely, if you read the Robinson website, he is completely clear that he did not raise his children. He was watching as God raised his children for him and through him. Okay, and he says it's completely God's handiwork that Arthur and all the children, the older children, were able to manage so much that Laurel was doing, the housework, running his science lab. helping each other out, especially the youngest, who was 17 months old, running their farm, which like they had 100 chicks, 30 cattle. It's a huge job, okay? And then doing the homeschooling. So he realized very early on that the homeschooling was not getting done at all, because he had his hands full with all of this. And it took them around 2 years, this family, to get around 2 years to figure out how to, the material that she had gathered, how to use it, that same material with adjustments, in a way that was sustainable for this family, because now they had a key member who was not there. Okay, how to do this in a way that's sustainable. This is the family, she died in 1988. So this is the family 20 years later. In 2008, they're very private family, so this is the only information on them on the internet. In 2008, 20 years later, all the 6 children remain faithful Christians. I think this is a huge work of God. If a child has lost their mother very suddenly and has to jump into this adult role very suddenly, to still be a faithful Christian at the end of that, I think it's a huge work of God. And less important than that is that out of the 6 children, 2 have doctorates in veterinary science. Obviously, they were living on a farm. 2 have PhDs in nuclear engineering. 1 has a PhD in chemistry, like the father and mother both were chemistry scientists. And the last one, at the time of this 2008 press release, was in his early 20s, getting a bachelor's in chemistry. So all the 6 kids remained faithful Christians. All the 6 kids pursued science, and at least 5 of them, I don't know about the last one, got doctorates in science while they were actually in their lifestyle like full-time working. Okay, they were running the house, they were running, and he shares more on the website how the oldest 11-year-old was cooking for the whole family. 1 child was feeding 100 chicks a day, 1 child was feeding 30 cattle a day. They were doing all the housework. This is like, I'm talking about 1988, so I don't know if they had washing machine and everything else on a farm. You know, that kind of lifestyle, hard work lifestyle and academic rigor, and they did it in a sustainable fashion that ended up with this end result. So for me as a mother, at that time when I was making this decision, this was like a crucial deciding factor, because like I've shared earlier, I have a lot of health issues which are coming up. My husband and I have cared for 5 of our elders before that. We know how unpredictable health and life and our own time and stretching capacity is, and I do not want to take on anything that makes my children dependent on me. Like, I didn't want the system to depend on me. That was too overwhelming for me, that if everything has to depend on me, then it was too much responsibility to take for me, and I didn't want my children to miss out on something because I was not up for the task, you know. So this really spoke to me that if a widower could do this on a farm in 1988 with 6 kids, I mean, anything men can do, women can do better, right? So I'm only joking. But anything that God really wants us to do, the Holy Spirit can give us the grace to do. And I was really hopeful that this would be a sustainable way for us to function as a family. Okay, so what are the key principles of the Robinson curriculum? The first one is self-learning. Okay, now this is something that we have not learned. We adults, parents, have not learned. So we ourselves have to change our buddhi a little bit and adjust to that, and then we'll be able to help our children. So our understanding of studies is the teacher has to teach the child. The teacher is more powerful, more important, more knowledgeable, and the child is a fool, and the teacher has to fill that fool with some information and make that child smart. Okay, that's our cultural understanding of knowledge. That is not true, because God has created each one of us in His image and likeness. God has gifted the Holy Spirit to our babies. So the same power that is in the baby is in me. So I am no better than the baby in that sense, because the grace of God is abundantly working in both of us. Okay? So God has created us with the capacity to learn 24/7. All of us, adults and children, are learning new things 24/7. Now it depends on us whether we're learning some rubbish on the phone or we're learning something constructive, even as adults. Okay? So this is a godly principle that Robinson applies, that parents don't need to teach the child the subject matter, the information, the knowledge itself. Fact number 1, fact number 2, fact number 3, we don't need to teach a child. What we need to teach this child are skills, not knowledge, but skills. How to count, how to memorize something, how to read, how to write, how to use a dictionary. It took me 5 minutes to teach my children how to use a dictionary. Once they know that, every word in there that they read, all they have to do is open the dictionary. Okay, so if you teach the skill, you are empowering your child to be a independent, strong, capable learner and not dependent on you. Okay, and not feel like lesser than you as a learner. Okay, then how to have integrity, which is a very important skill we need to teach our children, and how to work hard. My understanding of all the homeschoolers I've met so far, the teens and the adults, are they know how to play well. Like they can really play, enjoy themselves without phones, without gadgets. They are just having a blast. Okay, they know how to work hard. They really know how to work. They have a strong work ethic because they are doing the work. They are not passive recipients of somebody else's work. They are doing the work, you know, and they really know how to live an abundant life. They know that being stressed does not amount to hard work. You can be hardworking without being stressed. You know, they know how to balance play and work in a way that you're living an abundant life, not being stressed out by either of it. So self-learning is a key principle. If you want to try Robinson, you have to mentally prepare yourself that you are not going to sit there and teach your child everything. If you are used to doing that, or you like doing that, or you want to do that, then Robinson is not the curriculum for you. Okay, because this curriculum focuses on self-learning. That's how it works. Otherwise, it will not work. Okay. Then the second very hard to understand principle is less is more. Less is more. So they have only 3 subjects: reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's very hard to understand because in India we're used to so many different subjects. Add one EVS 1, EVS 2, Science 1, Science 2, just make it as many papers as possible. Okay, so the principle here now, the 2 Robinsons were scientists. They were using scientific principles to educate their children. They were not teachers, they were scientists. So the principle is that the conscious brain can focus on something consciously only for a limited amount of time. Okay, 24/7 you cannot sit and consciously attend to something, right? So those limited hours which your brain can focus on, depends on your age and your abilities, that should be spent in essential things, the most important things, and then you leave the brain to work subconsciously. The rest of those hours the brain will work subconsciously on those things only what it is focused on consciously. The difference being that it will not, if you try to fit 8 things into that limited time focus, you are just dissipating the focus and dissipating the result, because you have only so much space to focus consciously. But if you focus consciously on the main things, the essentials, then the rest of the time the brain is automatically assimilating and working on those important things. Now the aim of this principle is, we don't want the child to be jack of all trades. We don't want the child to be master of one trade. What we want is for the child to master his or her own mind. Okay, and this again is a very Christian principle. God teaches us, do not conform to the standards of the world, but transform your mind. The mind is the source of everything else. Mind dictates terms to the heart, the body, the spirit, everything else. So if our mind, if we have self-mastery, even this word self-mastery is from the catechism. If we have self-mastery, we know how to control. I know how to control my own thoughts, to work hard with my mind, to plan my time well, to have integrity. That is the winner. If I know how to do that, I can do anything in life. Anything. Okay, but if my brain just has a lot of information, which is still going to be only like not even 5% of the information available in the world, then it's not going to do me much good, because I will only be able to fit in where that 5% is relevant. Okay, so the aim here is not to master a topic. The aim is to master my own mind. That is the aim of the Robinson curriculum. Then the third and the hardest thing to do is to be device free and sugar free. So obviously the Robinsons, being chemistry scientists, knew how the brain works and what exactly the effects of what we put into our body has on our brain. And they decided to be completely, at that time also there was only TV of course, but they decided to be completely device free and sugar free. That means you are giving the brain the best physical atmosphere within which to do well. Okay, now it is extremely important to understand this. In 2023 in Bombay or the cities, the culture is so oppressive that not giving a child sugar and not giving a child dopamine through a moving visual device is tantamount to criminal activity. Like, people will sit on your head and shout at you for not giving a child sugar. Okay, but I have seen it for myself. It is very clear when a child has sugar, they are performing much lesser. Not only that, because our children's brains are still forming, we are basically making them dumb, okay, by feeding their brain with sugar, white sugar or honey, whatever, any sugar, because all natural foods, everything that God has created has enough sugar in it, what we need for our body. We do not need additional sugar. What sugar does is make you feel happy for a little while, and then you have a crash and you need more sugar. That's called addiction. That is the principle of addiction. Okay, the same thing to do with devices. Moving visuals are very fascinating. They may sound like excellent babysitters when you're really tired, but what we are basically transforming our children into is addicts, dopamine addicts. Okay, and we are living in a culture where children are already at ages 1. Yesterday we were on a train and I saw a father holding his child lovingly in his arms. He's resting his head on her head, but she is busy in the phone that he has given her. What a beautiful time to share father-child bond, but the child is lost in the phone and becoming an addict. Okay, so this I have seen for my own children. Till I started Robinson, we were using sugar. We were already off devices before that. We threw our TV out long back, but when they were small. But sugar we stopped at that time. We use sugar very sparingly, like if there's an occasion or there's something sweet we want to make for an occasion. Otherwise, in an everyday basis, we avoid it. Robinson says that he and his wife were addicted to sugar. The children never had it, and the children correct him, and the children chase him not to have the sugar. And even if they make it for guests, the children vehemently will refuse to have the sugar. Okay, because they have understood what it does to their brains, and they don't want to be dumb. Okay, next. Now, what are the resources to help support this curriculum? So, there's a brilliant YouTube channel by Karen Rodriguez. She's a Spanish woman, called Our House. But when you search for it in YouTube, you have to search Our House Homeschool, because there are many other channels called Our House. So, Our House Homeschool, if you search, I want to show you this one video if we have time for it. She shows in this video, it's an 11-minute video, she times herself on a clockwatch and she shows exactly how her involvement in her 6 children's homeschooling amounts to less than an hour. So with each child, she's timing it 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever. And the total time that she has to spend with the children in a day is less than 1 hour. Okay, so this should answer your question about whether working parents can do it. The question is, who is caring for your child in your absence? That is the more important question, not who is making them study. That is not important. Who is caring for your child, who is raising your child? That is the thing to focus on. The Robinson, your involvement with your child for Robinson takes less than an hour if you have 6 children. If you have 1 and 2 children, it will take much lesser than that. Okay. Then I'm going to show you the RC table of contents and how the subject matter is. And there is an RC FB group specific to RC, where the official the spokesperson or whatever, the person who handles the purchases and all, he's also on that group. So people share from their experience, but he will also give you concrete information, authentic information about the curriculum. Okay, so all this is like a minute away. Just ask a question, in 5 minutes somebody will reply. So there's a lot of support that people have. They also went and they handle frustrations. What to do if my child is autistic? What to do if my child is a genius? All those kind of varieties of questions come up. So I strongly suggest, if you're already in FB, join the group. Just read through the post. You will learn a lot of the spectrum of what this curriculum can offer. Okay, this June they're having the conference it's a paid conference this June. Last 2 years they had it free. This June is $29 for 3 days, which is again not much. Okay, I want to share with you, I'll go back to that slide in the video. I want to share with you my assessment of how my children's lives would have been different if they were in a Catholic school doing the state board, and now that they are doing Robinson, which is a Christian curriculum, in a Catholic household. Okay, so their time in actual studying remains around the same, 5 to 6 hours. But my children are not spending time in school travel, tuitions and homework, which saves around 3 hours of their life every day. And that is a huge mental load for the child. So in school, what happens is you do schoolwork, then you have to come home and do homework, then you have to go for tuitions because school is not good enough. Then you have to do tuitions homework. Then you have to go back with all the muddled way. Maths teacher in school and maths teacher in tuition have taught 2 different things, and they are 2 homeworks, and try to figure it out again. Okay, so mentally also there's a lot more space for me and my children, because we are not dealing with any homework. We're not dealing with any tuitions. That time and that mind space is gone from that. What we study in our time of study is the study. That only is the study. There's no homework. Okay, classwork is homework in homeschool. It's both the same thing. No need for tuitions at all. Robinson will not work with the tutor because Robinson, the child only has to teach himself. So there is no need for tutor. You cannot work with a tutor. Don't try to do Robinson and tutor, it will fail. Okay? Then my children sleep 9 hours a night, even after giggling and fighting and all. 9 hours they get sleep. And that's a lot more. I see so many school children sleepy in the morning, like really sleepy. Because they're just mentally they are not able to rest because they're so overloaded and they have less time to sleep because they have to get up and sleep late and get up. Then everything else around the same time. But even in a Catholic school, there is no time on a daily basis, not even on a monthly basis, for personal prayer or a mass, which is the most important thing I think we are able to do for our children. Give them Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. First thing in the morning, Jesus. Okay, and chose. So all things being equal, the sleep, their basic health, even their eating and all, what they eat in school from the dabba is very different from what they eat at home, right? The whole quality of food is completely different. So quality wise, time wise, we are like super saving time and energy on the wrong things and spending it on the right things, right? By our standards, of course. Okay, now let's talk about time in the year. Okay, now if you look at, I was really shocked because I was a little worried that many people asked me, how will you make your child as fit as the mainstream schooling child? So I'm very worried about how much time we're actually going to be studying. If you look at 104 days minus for Saturday, Sunday, 6 days for Christmas, 12 days for Diwali, summer vacation, Indian public holiday. I have taken this actual numbers from a school diary and school exam days. SSC Catholic school in my locality is working for 156 days in a year, which is less than half of the year, less than half, and parents are paying for the whole year. Okay, and RC recommends that you work for 250 to 275 days out of 360. So they say Sunday is completely off, so 365 minus 52. And then on Saturdays you do only maths, just so that your learning deficit between the time you stop on the weekday end and start on Monday is less. Just for that reason, only on Saturday you do 1 hour of maths, nothing else. Okay, so if you're working like that, 6 days a week maths, 5 days a week the rest of it, you still can work easily for 250 to 275 days. We still take holidays in summer, we still take holidays for Christmas. We do the things that are important to us. We go on retreats, we live our life, and we are more than ahead on the RC curriculum. But the most important thing is what we are doing well. Okay, so if, for me it was a shocker that I was all these years paying the school 12 months a year for them to work for my child, less than 6 months a year, and then I was teaching them at home after that. Like, I don't know what I was doing. Okay, but now I'm not paying anybody anything. I am spending a very little amount on homeschooling, and I am giving my children a much better caliber of education in terms of their academic, their intellectual life is much more stimulating than it was in school. I, just to be on the safe side, I had bought all the state board textbooks and I told them to read it. They found, of course, the presentation very boring compared to RC now, but they read it immediately. They were able to tell me what's in it. They were able to, like, I was confident that if they had to give a state board exam on a spur of a moment, they would be able to do it. You know, so what we want, again I'm reminding you, is not what information goes in, because whatever information goes in, it's going to be very small compared to the amount of information in the world. What we want is our child's brain and life to learn how to cope with life and to be a winner in any situation. That's what we want. Okay, so that to do that, we have to give them skills, not knowledge. We have to give them skills with which they can get whatever knowledge they want at whatever point of their life. Skills is more important than knowledge. Skills is a winner. Okay, then let's look at the money point of it. In school, we would be spending 50 lakh to a year per child per year. In RC, for the whole family, I have 2 children, you might have 5 children, whatever, how many ever children you have, for the whole family, for the whole of their life, the total comes to 2 lakhs and 7,000. Okay, that's if you buy it all at one shot. If you buy it separately, as Jose will share, it's more expensive. But if you buy it at one shot, we didn't want to buy it all at one shot. We bought a little at a time. I'll explain that in detail. Again, we're not spending on school travel, school bus. We're not spending on tuitions. We're not spending on anything else extra. This is always spending. Okay, notebooks are same, pencil is same, all that is same. So the cost in terms of time and money in homeschooling is much lesser than in schooling. Somebody asked my daughter recently, said to my daughter recently that I thought A friend mentioned to her that somebody else thought that we homeschool because we are poor. So my daughter laughed and she told me that auntie said to that one that we are homeschooling because we are poor. I said, you tell her we are homeschooling because we are rich, because we have saved a lot of money by homeschooling. Okay, so by homeschooling we are rich. I don't know if we are poor or not, but by homeschooling we are definitely richer than we were when we were schooling. Okay, the third difficult thing to understand is in school we are used to having a lot of different subjects, cram as much as possible, do this also, that also, this also, that also, this also. Whereas in RC there are three main things: essentials, everything else is non-essential. It is dependent on you and your child. Don't force the child, don't insist. If your child's brain is working right, they will automatically want more information in the area that they are interested in. If your child wants to study ants, let him study ants. If your child wants to study pants, let him study pants. Okay, but the main essential is your child's brain able to learn on their own. That is the essential thing to do. So in RC there are three skills that they need to learn. One is maths, and the exam is built into every single chapter. So I shared this on the last call also. You cannot go to chapter 2 unless you have mastered chapter 1. Now in school what happens is, suppose I got 80% on every maths, more than 80% on every maths paper I ever gave in school. But that meant, according to the school system, that I had not got that 20%, right? 20% I had not got. Now, who is going to teach me that 20%? At the end of the year, when I get my report card, my parents are very happy she got 80%. Tuition teachers have gone on holiday, school teachers gone on holiday. Then I'll go back in June with that 20% deficit to learn the next year's maths and feel very happy again that I got 80%. But my concept formation only is not there. It's all half. Okay, whereas in RC, what happens? Every chapter, the child herself has to correct. If you get more than 2 sums wrong, you cannot move to the next chapter. 2 or less, that means silly mistakes, what you call silly mistakes in maths also has to be limited to 2 sums. Okay, if you get more than 3, and you get 3 or more, you have to redo the whole chapter. So my children have redone many chapters, but in that they have learned to focus better, to pay attention better, to master the concept even if it is hard. And most important for me is that they have learned integrity. They have learned that if I go to chapter number 2 by cheating on chapter number 1, I will not understand chapter number 2, and then I'll have to redo chapter 1 and 2. So better if I redo chapter 1 and redo it properly and then go to chapter 2 in peace. Okay, so maths is teaching them integrity. The exam is built into every chapter. Secondly, writing. Okay, writing is not just handwriting, it is communicating, expressing yourself. So they have copywriting till they are a certain age, maybe 8 or 9, whatever they are comfortable with. Just copyright from the Bible, copyright from some encyclopedia. Just look at the board, like how you say, look at the board and write. Just that. No time limit, no time restriction. And then they are trained to write their original thoughts. Write a letter to somebody, write an autobiography of a bottle, whatever, something like that. Okay, to express your own thoughts. That is checked by the parent. Then the reading is a main part of RC, which is covers, again we are training the child in skills. So what are the skills we learn through reading? Understanding concepts, critical thinking, problem solving, exposure to new things, reconciling conflicting ideas. Okay, all this they are learning through reading. When we read for pleasure, when we read for leisure, we read a book because we want to learn something. People borrow books and read it. We don't study it, no? Do we mug it up? Do we study, chapter number 1 taught me this, chapter number 2 taught me this answer is that answer, this answer is that question. No, we read it and our brain takes what is important for us at that time. Right? That is learning, not studying, learning. So this reading methodology there is no question answer, there is no taking up, there is no mugging up. The child is actually taking in their brain at their own pace, in their own way, what they need to learn, and they will remember it because the pressure is not there. So they do remember things that are important to be remembered. In this reading list that RC has put together, it covers language, English as a language, so the language level gets more difficult. Then literature, world history, American history. We tend to avoid the American history books because it's a little too obscure for our need. Social studies, science, theology, and whatever you're reading, they have to do vocabulary. So suppose the system says reading, everything that they do, maths and reading, is 20 minutes per grade level. Okay, so in the first standard, they'll do 20 minutes of maths, writing, copywriting, whatever they can do, ABC, whatever they can do. Reading, 20 minutes in a day. That's it. Okay, second standard 40 minutes maths, 40 minutes reading. Third standard 60 minutes maths, 60 minutes reading, like that. So in that reading time, as they grow older and they know how to read and write full words, they learn vocabulary. So suppose you have to read, suppose my son was doing the third standard 60 minutes. So for 40 minutes he would read, and the last 20 minutes he would make a note of all the new words he has read that day, write it down. Earlier we were using a device to check the meanings, which I found was very disruptive and destructive. So now we have moved full time to dictionary. That time they couldn't handle the big dictionary. Now they can do that. So they look up the meaning of the word. When they themselves look up the meaning of that word, they will never forget it. Okay, and then they remember, oh, that fellow said that thing to that fellow. That's what he meant. Like they enjoy the story more because they have understood the meaning of the word. There's no teaching in this. I am not making them mug it up. Okay, you do have to take up the vocab to know whether they have understood or not. Okay, so like for example, with my daughter, she's very good in language, so she could give me pat the answers without thinking only. Like she understood the meaning of the word. Suppose A is equal to B is equal to C, I would ask her A, the meaning of, give me the meaning of A, and expect answer B. She's telling me C, which is not there in that book, because she has understood the meaning of the word. Okay, with my son, he found it harder to do that. He had to go back to the dictionary 2-3 times. I had to explain the context. I had to explain how to use it in a sentence. Then he would understand. So with each child, it's going to be different. But again, the emphasis is not on mugging. The emphasis is on learning, which are two different things. Our brain can mug up anything that we need to mug up. But can it learn everything it needs to learn? That is more difficult to do. Okay. So, in addition to the RC, which is just maths, writing and reading, I have added Hindi and Marathi because I want them to be fluent in both the language to speak, to read and write. That much they should learn to do in Bombay, otherwise it's very difficult to function. Okay, let's go back to that. Do we have time? It's already 7:40. Okay, shall we see that video? Or you want to see the, or I'll tell you what, let Jose finish and then we'll see. Yeah. We have time to see the video, or you can look it up on your own. Okay, the video is very exciting because you see a mother with 6 kids and you are seeing actually what she's doing. Okay, so she's timing herself. She's showing you now with this child, and she has one child who is little learning disabled. So the one younger child is faster than him. All different kinds of things.
Shall we see the video?
Sure, let's do that.
Yeah. I guess Jose will end it, right? I mean,
yeah, sure. Correct.
This idea for a video to time myself how long it takes me to homeschool all my kids. Now, when I say me homeschooling, remember I use a self-taught curriculum, the Robinson curriculum, where when they reach a certain point, they are completely independent with their schooling. They're doing math, Saxon math on their own, then they're writing every day on their own. I correct the essay and give them feedback, and then they work on some vocabulary, grammar, spelling on their own, and then they read from a book list on their own. So with the older kids, all I have to do is correct their essay. Now with the younger kids, I am more involved. I'm teaching them how to read. I'm making sure that they're memorizing all their math facts. I personally like to add in a little dictation with the alpha phonics lessons. So I'm going to show you everything that I do during a typical homeschooling day. I'm going to show you what I do with everybody and how long it takes me, because I'm going to time myself.
What if I told you I can give you an intern who can work 24/7 without a break? And
all right, so timer is starting, and I'm working here with Sophie, who's 4 now. We don't really start anything formal around here until age 5, but I do kind of teach others that it's really helpful if you start off with the youngest to oldest, you know, with your one-on-one time. Because, you know, if you just spend a little bit of time with them up front, they can, you know, pretty much leave you alone as you do schooling with the other kids. They'll entertain themselves. So again, we don't really start alpha phonics until the age of 5, but we're just going through the pre-reading exercise drills, and she thinks this is fun. And then we kind of go over lesson 1 over and over again. All right, Sophie, so letters.
A, B,
C,
D, 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 D.
All right, so alpha phonics, the manual says, you know, a great way for them to learn their alphabet and practice practice it is to tap it. That way they see it, they learn it orally and visually. And so, yeah, we're just going to do that for a little bit. Go ahead, Sophie, and point and say the letters. A, B. Let's see what we have in Sophie's bin. We have some flashcards for money and time. Just some dollar store little notebooks to practice. All right, so Sophie, now that we're done, I want you to go ahead and do a page in each of these. A page of your ABCs and a page of your numbers, okay? So you can go to the big table with the big kids. All right, so I'm up to 10 minutes with my first one-on-one time with my 4-year-old, and now we'll go on with the rest of the kids. So I'm here with James, and I'm going to start the timer again. With James, we're going to finish up Alphaphonics. I really regret using other reading programs in the past, and so just to fill in the gaps and lay a really strong foundation, we started all over with Alphaphonics. And so we're almost done. We're just in the last few lessons. I don't just do a lesson a day. If it takes them a while to get through a lesson, we'll keep repeating the lesson until they get it. So that's my routine with them. I do a little Alphaphonics with him. He reads to me a lesson from the McGuffey's Primer and also from the Alphaphonics reader book. And that's pretty much all he does with me. And then when he's finished with me, he's going to finish his copy work. He's using Draw right now to kind of like set right the drawing and then the copy work. Yeah. And what's the last thing you do?
What was the flashcard? You are too young to go alone.
Good.
The box is 2 feet high.
Hi.
Hi, it is big.
So James finished this lesson. He did well. Go ahead and write your initials on top that you did it. That's just how I keep track where everybody is at, and they like doing that. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the reader book. Read to me these 2 stories. So now the last thing is just James is going to read to me a lesson from the McGuffey's Primer. Sometimes we do a couple of lessons, sometimes we just do one. So we'll see how it goes. These are quick little lessons. We might do those too. So. Just go ahead and finish your copy work, and then we'll do flashcards. You'll do flashcards. All right, so I'm gonna pause it because I'm finished with James, and then I just have a couple more to go. All right, so I'm here with my son who is 10, and we had, some bumps along the road with learning how to read. So we're just finishing up Alphaphonics. Again, we started all over with Alphaphonics. So he's in the last few lessons, and he's going to read to me a lesson from the McGuffey's Second Reader, which I don't have that book. Do you have it? The McGuffey's Second Reader? No. And we do a little practice with dictation, which I forgot to do with James. I knew I was forgetting to do something with him, but it's all right. Every Alphaphonics lesson, we end with just some simple dictation. I'll just read aloud a couple sentences, and then they write it, and then I show it to them, and they can kind of see what they did wrong and fix it. Let's start with an easy one. We are not sure. Write down for me. We are not sure. All right, and the last thing is just reading to me a lesson from the McGuffey's Second Reader. Again, especially with everything, all the challenges, I really want to make sure his fluency is great, because after he finishes reading to me the McGuffey's Second Reader, he's completely on his own with the RC book list. The first book he will read, well, he's already read kind of nursery rhymes during our RC reading time, but now he'll be starting The Tale of Jolly Robin and just continue on with the RC book list on his own. And the timer is still going.
How much you got right? There's a lot, and this is how much you got wrong.
Cool, so now you got to go over the ones you got wrong over and over, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it is 9:34 right now. I'm waiting on 4 writing assignments to correct, 4 kids writing assignments. And then with Jenny, she's pretty much completely independent on her own, but she's still just almost done finishing reading to me from the McGuffey Second Reader. And then that's it. She'll start the RC book list. She'll be completely on her own. And since it's still pretty early, I'm probably going to go to Costco before lunch, come back, make lunch, and then still do all the afternoon stuff. So plenty of time for everything. All right, I started the timer again because now the writing assignments are flowing in. So I just correct and give it back. And they fix all their mistakes. They will write the words down 10 times each, or put it on their little cheat sheet as well. So yeah, that's it. That's what I'm going to do now. So even though Jenny is 8 and technically you can do copy work up until the age of 10, that's what the RC Course of Study says, she likes to write her own things, her own little descriptive writing assignments or stories. So that's what she did today. 3 misspellings. Come over here, Jenny. So this is how you write these words, okay? So I wrote them for you here. So I want you to write them 10 times each when we're done, okay? And make a little list for yourself of all the words you always spell wrong so that next time you'll know exactly how to spell them, okay? All right, so like I said, Jenny's pretty much almost completely on her own. She's 8. She's just finishing the last few stories from the McGuffey Second Reader to me, and then she'll start Jolly Robin all on her own. And then I won't do anything except just correct her daily writing. So I'm going to start the timer.
You see, I was talking to one of my friends and asked him, buddy, how many streams of income do you have? He said,
the sun has gone to rest. The bees forsakes the flower. The bird hurries to its nest within the leaves bower.
All right, so I'm starting the timer again for the last time because I just got my other daughter, my oldest daughter's daily writing assignment. So I'm going to correct that right now. All right, here it is. Just 2 spellings wrong, just 2 misspellings. I want you to write them 10 times each and put them on your list. So that's it. Homeschooling 6 kids. My part is done in under 45 minutes for the day. So I think that's pretty good. It's only 10 o'clock. So I'm going to go to Costco, come back, lunch. I have a coaching call at 1 p.m. We have a fun family night activity for Friday night tonight. So I love RC. As you can see, it's not stressful. I really enjoy it. The kids enjoy it. They have control over their education. They're not overwhelmed. I'm not burnt out. 45 minutes in a day for 6 kids. They're obviously doing more than that, but they do it on their own. And so they're developing really great study habits. And it's just such a great, sustainable way to homeschool, which is why I'm working on a course right now, Sustainable Homeschooling 101. There's a wait list for that if you want to check it out in the description. All right, so a little update to this video. I timed myself doing it another day, and it came out to 50 minutes because I didn't forget to do dictation with my son, James. So that's why you see the 50 minutes on the thumbnail, because really that's how long it takes me typically with all 6 kids doing everything that I'm supposed to do. So that's why it's 50 minutes, but still well within 1 hour. Now, if you like this video, please give it a
So she has a lot of videos. She also has a set of 12 videos for free to explain each and everything about RC. So if you don't like reading the overview which you can share, you can just listen to the videos, which is what I did. I'm a visual learner. Okay, so everything is clearly explained. There's no, you don't have to invent anything on your own. So now Jose will explain how to buy the stuff because he's bought it most recently, and then we can take questions.
Right, thanks Adele. I think Adele has explained very clearly about the curriculum. So my sharing would be based on what I have experienced in the recent past of buying the Robinson curriculum online and also Saxon Math. So I'm just sharing the website where you can go and have a look at all those things what has been told to us by Adele. It is very loaded website in the sense it has got too much of content. So you need to really spend time to understand, go through it. You should have the patience. I didn't have much, but Sharu did have. So she went through it in detail. I only did my credit card swiping. So that's what I wanted to share with you. You need to understand that very clearly. Yeah, but to make things more easier, I found the shortcut. That's what I'm going to share with you. So this shortcut is only to help you to order the curriculum. There's a guy by name Alnot Jakt. Okay, he is a point of contact for you to purchase the curriculum. His email ID is there on the chat as well as his phone number. So what you need to do is to send him a mail saying that I would like to buy the Robinson curriculum. Please send me the invoice. His response is pretty good. He immediately respond to you with the payment link, etc. We also have the same thing on the website, but I was recommended that we go through this route of sending the mail so that there is a communication line which you establish with them. So they will. So once you get the invoice, you can pay by the credit card, and then send the screenshot and say that you have made the payment. If you don't get a response from Arnold, maybe you can just send a reminder. I had to send a reminder to get the login, the key, the login and the password. And once that is been done, it's there for your lifetime. Now, does it end with that? It does not end with that. Okay, so what we get for $199 is the complete curriculum from class A to class 10, 12. But it is all in the online format. Okay, so with our learning process, we don't give the tabs and the laptops to children. We need to print this. So there is an additional cost that is involved in printing these curriculum, these textbooks in the physical form. So that is a process. There are two ways of doing it. One is where you buy a printer by yourself at home and then do it. But I am not for it because it's a tedious process. It's a very, very tedious process. You have to be really, invest a lot of time and just watch which page is getting printed and collect all these things and bundle it together. So I had the opportunity to tie up with a friend of mine, Shine, who's also in the call. So we both went to a printer. We got at a very good rate. Okay, where the printing was at 60 paise per page. So we printed quite a number of books. We costed around 25,000 rupees for the hardbound copies of these booklets, and we printed what is required for us for the immediate purpose. So if you print the entire curriculum, from page 1 to the last page, and make it in the book format, it would cost you approximately around 70 to 80,000 rupees. But we didn't do that. We just did what is immediately required for us to start off with the program, and we did that. So so that is something which you can also try it out with a local printer and negotiate the rate. And if there are 2-3 families together, 2-3 people together, then you will get a better rate from the printer. So that is something which we did, and we received books. Again, another thing which I wanted to, which actually I got it from Adele only. We were planning to print the entire, set of curriculum in one shot. But the problem is that where do we keep these books? We need to have enough space in the house to keep these books, because it's quite a number of books. See, Adele is showing one book is that thick. Okay. And you have some 200, 300 books, 400 books available. So where do you keep this? So it may not be required for you to print all those 400 books. So you take what is required. So this shortlisting of it, Adil helped me. I can also share that with you all. If once you decide to go ahead with the curriculum, Robinson curriculum. So this is with regard to the RC curriculum. Then comes the Saxon Math. Now, Saxon Math has tied up, it's a different organization. Saxon Math has tied up with Robinson curriculum and has offered a special rate. The Saxon Math text is also available with Amazon, Amazon.com, even .in. there are people who have purchased through Amazon.com in the US and get them shipped to someone whom they know, and ship it through friends or someone who comes to Bangalore or to India. So that is one option. The other option is to ship it, to buy through Amazon.in, and they will bring it to your house. Now, there is a catch here. So the fees, the rate which Amazon.in mentions on its website is only the cost of the book. Now, they do the shipping. The shipping, once it lands in India, it has to go through customs. So there is a custom duty which we need to pay for the textbook, for the literature. So that can vary from 100% to 200 to 300% of the cost of the book, which where you end up sometimes paying almost double the cost of the book itself. So, in fact, one of our one of our friends had done this, had paid actually the customs duty also. So, from his experience, it may not be a good idea to do that. So, what I have done is I wrote. I got the details from Alnot. He sent me Matthew's mail ID and the details. I wrote to Matthew. I asked him that I would like to purchase, and I got the invoice. And I paid. After paying, I asked him to ship it to a particular address in the US. And I had traveled the last week, last week, and I picked it up and I brought it along with me. So that is the possibility. I think Adel and all others who are using the curriculum is been doing that. If you have some friends or family coming in from the US, you can get them shipped to there and then bring it along with them. So these are the two important aspects of the curriculum, Robinson curriculum and Saxon Mac, which you need to keep in mind while you decide to go with this. So that is it from my side. Any other information, Adel?
Yeah, I am sorry, I forgot to mention the printing cost. The reason I didn't mention it was because
on the chat. So just in case you need to take a picture of it, so that you can refer or email Arnold or Matthew, then you can do that.
I didn't mention the printing cost. My apologies.
Reference. Adele, I think you're on mute.
No, she's audible.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
I said I'm sorry, I did not mention the printing cost because I realized it will be different in different places. But like Joe said, don't print everything. Go through the list. So the RC, what they will send you is a list and the actual content online. Do not use the devices. RC itself says do not use devices for the children. So you have to print that. Now don't print everything. You have to go through it and see. Suppose your child is starting only at the age of 10 or 11 or 12. They won't want to read that baby book, the first one. So you have to go through it and see at which level they want to start and then start printing from there. So after some time I realized all the books also are like, some are about American history too, like unrelated to our life. So I did not print those. Okay, so you also use your judgment. Don't skip all the books or many books at one shot, but use your judgment. You don't have to print everything. It's up to you. Okay, now there's a question about whether we should take Saxon if RC already has math. So the raised arithmetic which RC has is extremely simple and what would I say? First level compared to Saxon. Saxon, the way it teaches math is superb. Like the children find it hard, but they are learning maths properly. It follows a principle which is called spiral learning. So the same concept, they will come to that same concept again after some time, then again after some time, then after. So that same concept being reinforced again and again and again. Okay, so it's not like once I learned multiplication, now for the rest of my life I never have to think about it again. It's not like that. That same concept will get reinforced through every successive standard. Okay, and for each Saxon set, so for each standard, they have a textbook, they have an activity book. So that activity book we Xerox because we have 2 kids, and they have an answer code book. Okay, and this set altogether is very thick and fat. So if you are ordering it from abroad, so this is the set. If you are ordering from abroad, what we do is we just send it to, we order it to a friend's house, and he comes down often because his parents are here. So he brings it with him. So we can't order too much at one time also because he also won't be able to carry it. Okay, so that's why again, but so we are paying a little more than the whole package if we were to order. The other thing I must mention is Saxon has 2 curriculums, homeschool and regular school curriculum. Saxon is known for math all over the world. But the homeschool curriculum they are phasing out. So it's unclear at this point whether somebody else or other organization is going to buy it off from them or what is going to happen. So we just went ahead and bought the rest of the books because our kids are already well into it. Okay, but the RC books that Jose mentioned, since our kids are finished with quite a bit of that, that's in circulation in Bombay. So if you need to borrow it from somebody in Bombay, you can look at the book yourself. The print of the book might seem very archaic for our generation, like we're used to so many different fonts. So this looks like a little bit like boring, like this plain white paper, but the stories are fabulous. Like so engaged. They are talking and talking and talking about it like they're discussing the movie. Okay, this joke and that same, what he said, he do read that, but that is all going on. So it's extremely effective in its what they're getting the child in the child's brain. Okay, so shall we take questions now? Anyone?
Just looking at Amazon, I see Saxon Math 1 Homeschool, which is a paperback edition. So do they have kind of different levels, Math 1, Math 2, or just one?
Yes, so Saxon Math has two sets. One is K to 3, that's kindergarten to grade 3. That's for babies, like younger children, primary level children. And then you have, they are labeled it like this. It's a little confusing. I don't have the 5-4 here. It's 5, 4, 6, 5, 7, 6, 8, 7. Okay, so now this I have a 6, 5. So 6, 5 means for an average 6th grader and a advanced 5th grader. Now, if there's no rule, you have to decide, like this we showed in the video, right? Her 10-year-old is slower than the 8-year-old for whatever reason. Doesn't matter. He's not going to live his life in competition with his sister. He has to do his best, right? So you take the level which your child can manage. So Lucas is ahead in math. Esther was struggling. So you take the level at which your child can manage and proceed from there. But whatever they learn, they have to learn properly. Then only they can move to the next level. Okay. So question is, if we do RC, how do we transition to 10th standard? RC and Saxon is extremely much more intellectually stimulating than state board for sure. IGCSE has a lot of critical thinking. CBSE has better knowledge level, but not as critical thinking as IGCSE. So every board has its uniqueness. So you have to think only when they reach 7th standard or 8th standard. You have to think which board should they give the exams in. Should they give an NIS or should they give an IG? That there are already Zoom calls happened, which we can find the links and send you. The full detailed comparative analysis of NIS and IGCSE. Once you decide that, then you can work backwards and see what you want your child to prepare for that. Now my plan, since the question is asked, my plan is to have them continue with RC for as long as they can, because there's no end to it, right? This is meant for 12th standard, till 12th standard. They can finish that till 12th standard at whatever pace they want. There's no hurry and there's no urgency. And simultaneously they can prepare for NIOS. I want them to give NIOS because IG is extremely expensive. You have to pay for every exam. And IG is not accepted in all universities abroad. Not that I want to send my children abroad, that's not on the horizon, but I want that option to be available to them should they decide to later do something on their own. So NIOS is very simple. It has a lot of choice in subjects, a lot of choice in how many times you give the paper. Very cheap to happen, except that it's a government system. So there are lots of difficulties you have to cope with depending on your locality and whether the NIOS center there, how operational it is. Okay, so that's a whole other section. But basically, the logic is if you do RC till they are 7th, 8th standard, start preparing for the board exams. I want to be able to have them do it simultaneously because I think they will get bored just doing NIOS. But so if that's the best outcome situation. If not, they prepare for NIOS for a while, do that, and then while they're waiting for results and all, they continue with the RC. So that's my plan. Does it answer your question, Mel? Okay.
Actually, I was looking at.
Yeah, sorry.
It does answer the question. I was just figuring out how do they transition, because right now I've seen a few RC books and the system is mental, like life skill clade works, but to write for the exam it doesn't.
Correct.
So that's where I was a little.
Sorry. So exam preparation is a skill in itself. Okay, that has got nothing to do with you need to prepare for NIOS exam or IGCSE exam. So you need to teach them exam skills like one child will not know how to tie the paper. One child will not know how to write in time. So writing fast, writing neatly. So that I'm already teaching them. I taught them. this exam teacher is correcting the paper in the heat of May under her fan with her children crying around her. If she sees good handwriting, she will give you more marks. If she sees bad handwriting, she'll give you less marks. So now only write well. Okay, so basic things like that. So preparing for an exam is a separate skill set, which again depends on the exam, right? You have to find out from the people giving that exam what are the skill sets they need for that exam, and then prepare backwards.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have to figure it out based on which exam they want to give and what skills they need for that exam. Is their exam testing critical thinking, or is testing rote learning, or is it testing how fast you write? What is it that is going to help them succeed in that? And to what end? So if they wanted to ask, they want to get into any college, it doesn't make any sense to brutalize them over that board exam. If they wanted to get into competitive things, then it makes sense to push them on the marks.
Yeah.
To what end also we have to see. Okay. Any other questions?
Good. Thanks.
So somebody is asking, my eldest child is 5 years. When should I start the RC curriculum?
If you are currently pregnant or lactating, I would suggest wait. Enjoy all your babies nicely. Let them grow up nicely. Your child is already learning from their environment. No need to push him. Start at 6. I've done my master's in child development. A child there's such a thing as learning readiness, developmental readiness. The hand has to be ready to hold a pencil in a pincer movement and write. If the child is not ready for that, you are pushing the child into something that is too early. Okay, so don't start till your child is physically ready to write or to read. Don't push the child to write or read. That's another thing my pediatrician taught me. Make things enticing and inviting for children. Don't push them. The more you push them, the less they want to do it. The more you make it inviting and engaging, you yourself are reading, you are enjoying your book, you are having a good laugh, then they also want to read what you are reading, and they also want to know what is this reading. Okay, so I would suggest don't start in a hurry. Take your time. Since your child is 5, take your time, do slowly. Teach him to read the Bible till then. Teach him to be excited about books. That is more important. Then when they are ready to learn to read and write at 6 or 7 also, that's fine. There is no hurry. This pressure is being put by people who need to make money from children 0 to 6. Don't fall into that pressure.
Thank you, Adel. Next question. How would a child do RC if she has to do an iOS 12 and she will be homeschooled after class 11?
Sorry, homeschool after class 11. Yeah, so you can do NIS 10 standard and NIS 12 standard, but National Education Policy is going to change all that. So we don't know exactly what is going to happen in the next few years. We have to play it by ear, what they change exactly, what the government changes. Whatever they change, it will be for everything in India. Yeah. But the point is, NIS you can register after you're 14 in Jan of that year. So if you turn 14 in December, then that next Jan you can register and give the exams in that coming academic year or next year. So you have 2 years. So basically your child can register for NIS when they are in the 9th, their peers are in the 9th, and give the exam across 9th and 10th and graduate with their peers, or give it in the 9th only and be 1 year ahead. Same to do with 12th. There is no 9th standard syllabus, there is no 11th standard syllabus. So that's why there's a lot more flexibility. You have much lesser subjects with NIS and with state board. So there's a lot more time, lot more flexibility. All the NIS content is available online already. You can look it up for yourself. You can read it for yourself. You can check which subjects your child would want to do now only. So they can read now in the summer holidays. My 10-year-old can read and see all the books and see, oh, I would prefer to do this subject, not that subject. So he is familiarizing himself with the content. There's no hurry. There is no pressure. Okay, so they can do what is important for them.
Thanks, Adel. So there is this question, what about the science subject? In fact, the RC has got the science subject, and one thing which I have noticed is compared to the other subjects, which Robinson curriculum gives it in black and white format, our science subjects are in the color format, which is much more appealing to the children, and it has got quite a bit of a pictorial representation and an easy read. So it has got a complete set of science subjects as well, which is available as you purchase the curriculum.
Then also, RC says that you should learn maths well first up to calculus before you start pure sciences. So maths is the language of science. So if you know your maths well, you will be able to understand science well, which is why they're focusing on maths so much. Only after calculus in RC do you actually start pure science like physics, biology. Till then, science is part of the textbooks, the reading books, reading materials. The children are learning science, they just don't know it is called science.
Yeah.
Okay, and there are some extra reading material books which you can, if they're really interested in science, you can get them to read that. But pure science is physics, biology, chemistry, and lots of advanced things. If you look at the list, you can tell. I've never heard of those names only in my life. Like those things are available to children who are really good at science to do after they finish with the calculus. And this is developed by scientists whose all 6 children became scientists. So I think it works for them. Jenny is also here. Hi, Jenny. Her daughter, all her kids are doing RC. Her daughter has just finished 10th. And we have 2 other kids who are older than Jenny's daughter who have all done RC and given their 10th. So any questions related to board exam and that maybe Jenny can help right now.
Yeah, so Ginny is the one who I had mentioned that we have people who have done it for like 12 years now. So we have experienced people to help. So we don't have to be worried about if you have discerned, then you have enough and more support inside, in your probably in your own vicinity as well. Maybe we can do another session with Ginny whenever she's free. And we can take up more questions also at that time, especially for those who have, many children. Ginny and Naveen, they have 6 children of different ages. So the last time I think people wanted to know, there was somebody who said they wanted to know how is it to have smaller children and older children, and how do you manage this whole thing in the homeschooling. So Ginny, whenever you can, we'll plan out one session where you can probably share your schedule, with the younger children and the older children and all of that. And I'm sure it will be a blessing.
Sure, Sharu. Yeah.
Okay, lovely.
I'm here for the next whole month until May, and I don't have anything else. So we can plan something. Yeah.
Great. Great. So we'll connect, Ginny, and then we'll try and plan something, because I think a lot of people want to know more. A lot of them are plunging into homeschooling this year, and definitely let's extend as much support as possible so that it'll kind of help them. It'll, we can be like the shock absorbers as much as possible.
Sure.
Okay, thank you so much, Ginny.
Yeah, very nice, Sharu and Adil. We needed somebody to take initiatives like this, and you people are doing it. So we'll be. Last time I was in traveling, I was until 19th I was held up. That's why I couldn't join. I was actually in the forest area when the program Jobby just called me, but I couldn't join. But this time, finally, at least the last stretch I could join. Very nice.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Ginny. Thank you very much. All right. So I guess we will close it for the evening. Ginny, can you? Ginny's actually the servant leader of the live school. We will learn a little bit more about the live school maybe in the coming sessions. So maybe we can close with the prayer. Ginny, can you help us close it with the prayer? Yes.
Yeah, sure. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord Jesus, we thank you for this time we had together discussing on homeschooling. I know this is the need of the time, and our children need to go through this so that their spiritual formation would be well taken care of. Lord, we thank you for the ways you have been intervening in our lives through Robinson curriculum, through friends, through so many people around us. I thank you for everybody who has gone through this way. Their children have actually finished their 12th, that did their graduation. We have so many of them. We thank you for your intervention in each and everybody's life. We thank you for live school. We thank you for Sharu, Adil, everybody who's interested in supporting each other. This is what exactly is the kingdom of God, that we need to love each other, take care of each other, be support to each other. We thank you, Lord, for all this opportunity and the way you're guiding us and leading us. Mama Mary, we give all of us into your loving hands, all the families who are contemplating on homeschooling, who have got concerns about it. Mama, as you were pondering on everything which came across to you, May all these sessions be pondered very well in their hearts so that they'll be able to know and understand what is the will of God in their lives. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and the hour of our death. Amen.
Okay. All right. So thank you. Thank you very much, Ginny. Thank you, Adele. Thank you, Joby. Thank you to one and all who joined in this evening. I know we've not done much, but I think this is a good beginning. We've started somewhere, and I'm sure the Lord will lead each of us according to his plan. So until you hear from us in the future, we will be planning future sessions as the Lord leads, and we will keep in touch and keep you posted as well. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, bye-bye. God bless.